right, now listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
4:07 on the 15th day of September in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Mac's World on a Thursday. Sure appreciate you being here today. Tomorrow is Jeff Durbin, who is the apologist, a very, I don't like the word famous, but very, very well-known apologist who's putting on an apologetics conference, I guess, at Harvest Bible Chapel in Grimes. I believe that's tomorrow night and Saturday. And then I'm sure he'll be there for worship on Sunday morning. So Jeff Durbin is going to be here. We tried to get an atheist to debate him, and nobody wanted to step up. Kind of typical with atheists. You know, they want to stand outside and protest and shout their narrative, but when it comes down to really going head-to-head and toe-to-toe with somebody who loves Jesus, they can't compete because their story makes no reason. There's no reasonable answers. So it's just, and then pretty soon, here's the answer, and then you're a bad person because you believe in God, and then it's shut up and I'm leaving. That's all they got. 3. If you can get an atheist past 3, 4 into a fourth question without calling you a name and walking out, you're probably going to have a good conversation. So if you know of an atheist that would like to come in and be a guest and debate Mr. Durbin tomorrow, I'd love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Brian, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Mac.
Got, a week from tonight, 5 o'clock at Lake
Aquabi.
Do you need a drink of water there, Fido?
No, I was going to tell you last hour when you said this. I have the same problem. I always want to say Okoboji in Florida, and I think that's what you're thinking of when you always go. You start to think of it, and you want to say Aquabi, but Okoboji stuck in your head.
Well, I just think it's interesting that I've lived in Des Moines, Iowa since 1978, so almost 40 years. And I've never heard of this place until now.
We're a city slicker.
I guess. I don't have any idea. All right, so Wild at Heart Boot Camp. I'm going to challenge you, the listener, right now. You know a man. I'm sorry, this is just for men. You know a man who loves Jesus. And maybe that love and relationship is growing. You've known men who love Jesus. And the relationship that they have with him grows and grows and grows. And then one day, something horrible happens, and he gets taken out. It happens to every guy, sooner or later. The Wild at Heart Boot Camp will equip that man to not be a victim of spiritual warfare. Oh, Mac just said that word, that really weird term that only some Christians ever say. Oh, there's no spirit. Why are you kidding me? Spiritual warfare. Really? You don't believe in the accuser? Because he believes in you. Big time. And he knows Jesus better than you do. And the Bible. And he's coming for you. Because you're making disciples. You're changing lives. That guy, Tom, that you finally got to come to church last year, and now he's met a nice young lady, and they're dating regularly, and he's coming to men's study now. The accuser wants him bad. He wants him back. He had him. He was drinking. He was doing everything wrong. The accuser wants him back because Tom knows that his friend knows that he's going to bring somebody else to church pretty soon. And now there will be 3, and then 4, and then 40, and then 4,000 men whose lives will be changed, all for Jesus. But believe me, whether it's 4 or 4,000, the accuser has enough minions to take every one of them out. And he will. Frank?
As the Bible says, all works for the good for those who love and serve the Lord. So what the Lord does is he allows the natural attacks from Satan to try us, to test us, to refine us, to mold us, to fit us for his kingdom. He uses all in our lives. So as the last 5 Psalms, I read that these deserve special study because at the end of the last 5 Psalms, David does nothing but praise. In our prayer, what should have come up in the conversation yesterday with Spencer that we didn't get to is the idea that our prayer should be more of praise and thanksgiving than a request list. Praise for God is an underestimated thing we use in our prayer lives. So David incorporates the last 5 Psalms just to give praise for everything. Trials, tribulations, bumps in the roads, falling into a pit, whatever it is, it's to God's glory because he's using that pit to mold you, sanctify you in his image, in his likeness, in his oneness, in his perfection.
All right, Brian, tell me something about a man who should come to the Wild at Heart boot camp.
New in your journey or deep in your journey, something in you, deep within your heart knows that there's more in this life available, and you're just not certain, the things that Jesus promises, restoration, healing, hope, the joy, the fruit of the Spirit, hearing the voice of God, all of those things. And you're like, wait, what's getting in the way? Why not me? So on and so forth. I mean, there's a myriad of thoughts. I would say someone the list is shorter for someone who shouldn't come.
The list is shorter for someone who shouldn't come. I want to hear that. Who shouldn't come? Why shouldn't every man come?
Well, women. It's a men's boot camp.
Okay.
But other than that,
what about a transgender?
Sure.
Okay.
The list really comes down to if you don't have a heart for Jesus and you don't want to pursue a relationship with him, then don't go.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I mean, I don't care if it's you're surrounded with joy and you've raised two or three thoroughbred champions that are out advancing the kingdom and you've got a wonderful marriage. Great. I would say either you were exposed to something similar to it, or B, you've been incredibly blessed, and there's still more that God offers.
All right. One of the interesting things, and I have not been to this boot camp, but I have been through the Brian Leach Wild at Heart boot camp. And what that means is a few months ago, the worst thing that could possibly ever have happened to me happened. And it created a wound that I actually never thought I would survive. I thought that wound would drive me back to drinking. It would push me away from the church. I would get angry with God, and my life would go to hell in a handbasket. And I meant to say hell. Hell in a handbasket. The old Mac would be back, and the 6+ years that I enjoyed with Jesus would be wiped out. And Brian came alongside me, and I don't even know if you knew what you were doing, but you were giving me Wild at Heart on steroids. And I walked, I don't want to say I skated through this because this is a bumpy road, but I got through it. And I not only survived that wound, but it's almost healed. And that's impossible without the right discipleship. And that's what Brian did for me, disciple me in the Wild at Heart curriculum. Did Dave do it for you? I mean, who did it for you?
Many men.
Many men?
You,
okay.
Ed Nichols, Fritz Trost,
yeah.
Dave Robinson. I mean, I was pretty rough And it took a lot of God's light to shine through many, many men to break through my resistance to what God wanted me to become.
Yeah, I remember when you and I first met. I don't know if you remember, but we did those timelines together.
Yeah.
At Fritz's thing, and
Yeah.
we were about the same place in the same journey. And I think back where I was then, spacehead, no concept. Jesus was a thing that hung on the cross. Salvation was for the weird people who called themselves Christians.
Well, my simple frustration was, okay, I get it. I'm understanding it. You know, you study for a year and a half, dig in like mad, and you're at a Bible study twice a week and read the Bible one version and read another version, and you're digging in. Yep, head's getting full. Okay, but why isn't things changing? You know?
Yeah.
That journey from the head to the heart. And Wild at Heart is one of the vehicles where that got connected deeply.
Frank?
I would suggest the refiner's fire is what separates the men and the boys. And if you're more and there's folks out there, and I've met these folks, they're more interested in winning the crown than they are carrying the cross.
Ooh.
And if you're not carrying a cross for Jesus Christ, you ain't doing jack.
That's a good line. They're more interested in winning the crown than carrying the cross.
Yes.
And here's the lie. Here's the lie in that. I don't want to jump all over, make it about.
Okay.
You want to come back to it?
Yeah, I want you to hold on because I know you're not going to get that done in a short period of time. If you've got a question and you need answers, it's 515-244-0077. It's wildatheartiowa.com. Wildatheartiowa.com. Check it out. Look it up. I will give you a little preview. Thursday night at 5 when it starts, we're cooking T-bone steaks. And these babies are about 2 inches thick. It's going to be a good time for the boys.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:21 on the 15th day of September in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. What are you doing a week from tonight? And then a week from tomorrow? And then a week from Saturday? And a week from Sunday morning? You got time for God? No, I mean more than an hour on Sunday. Could you actually give God like 3 days? Thursday night, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and Sunday morning. Could you do that? Because you know what? He gives you 24/7. He never goes on vacation. He never puts an "I'm out of the office" sign in the window. He's there, always. How do you know what he has for you if you're not willing to really surrender to him and ask him, Papa, what do you want from me? Papa, what's my purpose? If you're a guy and you want those questions asked to the Holy Spirit, man, you got to consider going to the Wild at Heart boot camp, wildatheartiowa.com or .org. Check it out and look it up.
Before the break, I was mentioning how there's a lot of people in the world who tend to want to seek the crown, winning the crown more than they want to shoulder the cross. Like the guy that helped Jesus with his cross when Jesus could no longer carry it, and he was falling down, and he fell down several times. They got a guy out of the crowd, I believe his name was Simon, to shoulder his shoulder up under that cross and help Christ carry that instrument of his own death. That's what we're asked to do, is to get up under and shoulder that cross. And you wanted to talk about the joy versus how that you
lie.
Used to believe the lie that the Christian life just sucks all the joy.
Yeah.
All the joy and pleasure out of one's life, and you want to combat that by saying,
well, no, I wanted to speak into that from my own story. I just very specifically remember having thoughts of, oh my goodness, what am I going to have to give up? Early on in my faith, oh man, this isn't going to be fun. All the fun stuff, But it was the misunderstanding, my own misunderstanding and misrepresentation of what a relationship with Christ is really like. I mean, there's a lot of good Christian men and women out there that go to church that don't have a clue what a relationship with Christ is like. And so then there becomes, we talk about, in Wild at Heart, we talk about the false self and the false identity and the pose that we put out as men to protect the wounded heart. And, sin and brokenness creates the pose, and that's all built and designed to protect the wound. Well, where my heart was really at today, as I was just thinking about things, is how we have done that to Jesus, how we have created a false identity in who Jesus really is. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, they did it early on. They were expecting something totally different. Sometimes the church, or we paint the picture that he's a Mr. Rogers-esque, holding the lamb and kissing the babies. And he is that. And that's good. But he is also fierce. He is a warrior. Look how many fights he picks with the Pharisees in Scripture. Healing on the Sabbath, and then they want to kill him. All right, so what does he do the next Sunday? Or I guess it'd be Saturday, right? In those times. Oh, he does it again. He is picking fights.
Isn't it ironic that when he healed on the Sabbath, at the same time they were plotting his death? So how much better were they than they thought he was when they was plotting his execution and death on the Sabbath?
What it makes me think of, I love this treasure in this pursuit of understanding Jesus at a deeper level, because if you got dangerous for good, and then you got dangerous for not so good. Men are a dangerous force. They are a powerful force. And the question is it going to be for good, or is it going to be for not good? Or is it going to be in the middle where it's half checked out? And I just, when I think of all of the good things in life and the times that I chose to not engage in that fight for good, to not stand up and step into my strength as a man and fight for what's good and pure. We see Jesus do it many times in Scripture. And
well, I think of the story of the secular story of the owner of the Miami Dolphins, now deceased, Joe Robbie.
Yeah.
And at one point they had named the football stadium after him. I can relate this to Christianity and the faith walk with something he said once is this guy had so much money he could do anything he wanted. If he wanted to eat a steak dinner on some other part of the world, he got on a jet plane and went to go eat that steak dinner.
Yep.
He wanted a bottle of wine from a certain place in the world, he went there. And he made the statement one time, you can only eat so much food, drink so much drink, fly on so many jets, seek so much entertainment. The only joy Joe Robbie said he had left in his life was being owner of the Miami Dolphins football team. Because everything we do is in the past. It's a fleeting memory. So that joy with the woman you had a week ago, that steak you ate a week ago, that exciting Daytona 500, Indianapolis 500 you went to, it's just a memory. The future's not yet to come. You don't know if you're even going to have a future. You might wake up, you might have an aneurysm and drop dead right now. You may have a massive heart attack. So you're not guaranteed any future. So the only thing that you have is this fleeting second that is right now. And if you're not spending this second right now for Jesus Christ and the furtherment of his kingdom and having something beyond just the memories you've experienced in life, that's the true joy of living. Is living for Jesus.
Yeah, he doesn't, his promise is not floating on the clouds and playing harps with cherubs and worshiping for millions and millions of years. I mean, the joy of the kingdom is so much more than that.
Eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard what Jesus has in store for those who serve him.
Yeah, so anyway, you getting riled up? Ready to go, Mac?
Yeah, I am. I just, it's kind of what I said a little bit ago when we came back from the break. I just want to spend 3 days with Jesus. I mean, I don't know how to say it other than that.
So the registration closed a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So we just needed the head count, and just found out this morning because there was a guy that was a guy that I had talked to has a conflict. He was talking to a guy that's going through some challenges, and he's pursuing Christ in a deep way. And this other guy talked to him about it, and he's like, "Can he get in?" And I was like, "I don't know." But anyway, I did find out today that there's 4 seats paid for in advance just in case. So
okay, so 4 more people could go.
4 more people could go, yeah. And here's something else that was really cool.
And by the way, if you're listening and you were getting a taste of this thing and you thought, I need to do this, I just need to do it, and then you heard there's only 4 seats left, we'll get you in. I mean, we'll get you in. You may not get one of the fancy cabin rooms. You might have to, or you might get to sleep in a bunkhouse with a bunch of guys, but your heart is ready for this. If your heart's ready for this, it's time to get signed up.
So a couple weeks ago, the prayer was, okay, who's coming, Jesus? We got a lot of men signed up, but and we had resolved that, yeah, well, we're locking her down, and a conversation took place, and I just love how Jesus, oh my goodness, how good he is and how he works in this. There was a conversation that took place like a day or two ago. That Teen Challenge, you've heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 20, they wanted to send 20.
Wow.
And we're like, okay, well, because we're shut down for registration, and God cleared a path, and I just know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that was, Jesus was saving those seats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Last minute.
That's awesome. One of the things that I learned in Wild at Heart was the lies that the accuser tells us, I guess I knew that before, but what I didn't realize is that I bought into him. And the quickest way to get taken out is to believe and agree with the lies that Satan tells you. In fact, Megs told me the other day that you can't get taken out if you're not believing the lies, because believing the lie the accuser gives you gives that lie power.
Yeah, he's been defeated, but he's still operating. Covert.
The accuser.
Yes. Yeah, we have been given authority to silence him and shut him down. But when was the last sermon you heard on that?
Right. I did that the other day. I did that the other day. I just said, in the name of Jesus, Mr. Accuser, you're done. Yep. I need you done on this topic. I had this same conversation in the feces committee in my head. Mm-hmm. And I'd say, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I'd drive a block farther, and guess what I'm doing? I'm doing it again. And so I said, the name of Jesus, get out of my head. You're not welcome in this conversation. You're not welcome. I don't care. You're not welcome. And it helped.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes it takes a few times.
Oh, yeah.
They're persistent.
Yeah.
But.
Well, as Christ's example in the wilderness, we're told he was tempted 3 times, and that final time that Christ rebuked him and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan," he left for good at that point. Not saying he didn't come back later on, but, for that particular session, the 3rd time he was rebuked, he left.
Yep. Yeah, that was, and what's interesting, I read that in Scripture, and I read all the way through it, but early on in my faith, I don't know what causes me or many other men, I'm sure, you read the stories in Scripture and go, oh, well, that was for then. That's not really today or you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We're still called to be that peculiar people, and we're not obviously the nation of Israel, so we're not going to get certain promises that were promised to a nation of people, but individual things that God promised men or warnings that he warned men not to do, we're subject to the same thing. The nation of Israel dropped the ball on spreading his gospel. The Gentiles were grafted in, and those who were grafted in as the wild branch to the vine has the same promises and the same conditions and the same warnings as the nation of Israel. Spread my gospel.
It's Wild at Heart Boot Camp, and it's next Thursday, the 22nd, starting at 5 p.m. at Lake Aquabi. So I want to give it like 3 syllables.
Like avocado?
But it's
Lake Avocado.
But it's only 2 syllables, right?
Aquabi.
Oh, it is 3. Aquabi. Down in Indianola. When we come back from this break, we're going to kind of run through the sessions. Yeah. To let you know what's down there. And again, I'll have space for you. We'll find space for you. But you got to ask. You have to ask. And maybe the first person you ask is not me. Ask Jesus. Papa, is this something you have for me? Is this a ministry you want me to pour myself into? Be away from my children, not be able to watch the football game, miss my church on Sunday? Is that, Papa, do you want me there? See what he says. We're coming back live here in Mac's World on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, 15th day of September, 1 week from right now. I'm probably going to be cutting out of the studios a little early because we're heading south to Indianola, Brian and I and 178 other guys, for the Wild at Heart boot camp. And here's the strange story about this. You heard about that on this show 4 years ago.
Yeah, you had Pastor Paul Porter.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
And so you went, and you came back and said, oh, man, that was phenomenal. That was unbelievable. And you tried to get me to come every year.
Yep.
And I just have a phobia about sleeping someplace else. And so I said, all right, I'll come down for the sessions and then drive back. And no, Mac, you can't do that. What do you mean? I mean, I was quite arrogant about it. Brian, it's me. Okay, I'm not spending the night. Well, then you're not coming. Yeah, okay, fine.
You may be a child of God, but, here on earth.
Yeah, I just wasn't going to do it. And then I faced the worst thing I could ever face earlier this year. And it's a wound I never thought I'd heal from. And I honestly thought the wound would kill me. I thought I'd go back out drinking. I thought I'd just go crazy, lose my job. And instead, God lifted me up for a little over 100 days. Brian came alongside me. Dave came alongside me. And not only did I survive the wound, but my heavens, I can see what God has in store for me now. And if I didn't go through that, I would have never seen it. I would have been stuck in the lies that the accuser told me.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. You know too much about my life. Be careful.
Or to the room.
Okay.
Feel free to.
Sure.
I heard one man say, why does she feel like the scorecard on my life?
Yeah.
How does that resonate?
Yeah.
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 So it's so simple. There's a lot of things that we will surrender our heart over to before God. The beauty is one of them.
Yep.
Drugs, alcohol, and all that other stuff. Rage,
Yep.
But the most dangerous one, because she looks so... she is the feminine image of God. She embodies beauty, nurturing, love, some wisdom, and There's so much going on there. It's easy to get tangled up.
Well, we know Adam faced the very struggle you're talking about in the garden.
Yeah, he chose Eve over God.
Eve was deceived, clearly. Eve, and I hold Adam more responsible than Eve. So don't, girls out there, don't take it that I'm saying something negative. Eve was deceived. Adam come up there and willingly made a decision to choose his wife over God. And as soon as God came along, because I'm sure Adam reasoned, what would this life be? What would this garden be without her? She's so beautiful. She completes me. She's part of my body. She was taken from a rib, etc., etc. Lottie, lottie, dottie, dottie. I mean, he probably had a plethora of excuses, but ultimately he took that. Eve held that piece of fruit out in her hand, and he took of that fruit and he ate it because he made a conscious choice to choose Eve above a relationship with his Creator. And as soon as God come along and said, "What is this you have done?" This big, huge, wonderful, beautiful, created man in the image of God took his weaker vessel by the shoulders and threw her exactly under the bus to get run over by two double tandem axles by saying, "Well, it's this woman you gave me." So what Adam was willing to die for, he just tossed under the bus when Christ come along, the Creator come along and said, "What have you done?" And then God turned to the woman. "Well, what's this you've done?" "Well, it's this serpent you created. Why'd you put it in the garden? Why'd you put that serpent here?" Well, imagine God turning to the serpent and the serpent saying, "Well, don't blame me. It's this Lucifer guy you created. He took me over." And then Lucifer, he's over there standing going, "Well, hey, don't look at me. You created me to malfunction."
Well, here's what I love about God in that story. He doesn't come in to the scene, into the garden and say, "Adam, get your tail over here." Right. He comes in and he goes, "Where are you?" Yeah. And he knew where he was.
Yeah.
"Where are you, son?" And
we're hiding because we're ashamed. Well,
yeah,
who told you?
I'm now naked, and right, and then he clothes them. His grace was even there at the fall. So that's what we get at Wild at Heart. We get to get a clearer understanding of who Jesus really is, the warrior side of him, the lover side of him, the beautiful outlaw, the playful. He's a little more outlawish, than what we take him to be.
Absolutely.
830 bottles of wine at the end of the party.
Yeah,
that was Jesus.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I always thought of Jesus as this long beard, white robe, peace sign, loving everybody kind of dude. And when he mugged me 6 years ago, and then I started reading about him, reading his word, reading his book, Jesus is he's a rebel with a cause.
I love that story when he has the two of his disciples are walking down the road, and Jesus he's died, right? He's on the cross, and he just walks along with them. The playfulness of him, what a prankster! Yeah. Really, he goes how many miles with him, walking, telling the story. And he says, "So why do you look so glum? What's going on?" I mean, really, Jesus? And then when they get to the fork in the road, he pretends like he's not going to come with them. "Oh, I'm heading this way," and they're like, "Oh, come to have." I suppose I'm paraphrasing, but. Playful.
Yeah.
Ornery.
Yeah. Rebel with a cause, Frank.
He always met the downtrodden in love and sympathy and mercy. Where the more, I don't want to say nasty because that's not the word, but the more rebuking side of Jesus came against his own, those who profess to be his people. He came to discipline them, and it's just like a child. A child requires three things: love, truth, and discipline. And God loved his people. He loved his chosen people, but he had to come. He had to rebuke them, to give them truth, And sometimes it was, as they say, what's the term they use about strong love, or
sure,
Mac uses it once in a while.
Tough love.
Tough love. Yeah, thank you. Sometimes Jesus often used tough love and tough language with his own people who he was disciplining.
So we want to do a breakdown of the processes or the modules.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just
first one, core desires. We're gonna dive straight into it right after the T-bone, right? Go to the bathroom, and we're gonna go into the core desires of a man's heart. The greatest question written on a man's heart is, do I have what it takes?
Right.
And only masculinity can bestow that identity on the son or the daughter. And so many times that question went unanswered. I mean, it is a process. It's a journey for a father to initiate opportunities to validate his son that he has what it takes, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to go into the core desires straight out of Genesis: an adventure to live, a battle to fight, and a beauty to rescue. All of those taking place right in the first few chapters of Genesis.
Thursday night.
Yep. And so then we're going to unpack each of those, and then we're going to go into the epic story, and we're going to come out of the today, 2,000-foot view. We're going to the 30,000-foot view of the fall of not only mankind. We're going to go to Act 1. So that's Act 3.
Wow.
So we're going to go into Act 1, which is, Satan is a prince in the kingdom of heaven, and he's right. We're going to go into the Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 3 and.
All right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, we'll have just a few minutes left. If you've got questions, feel free to call 515-244-0077. And we'd love to have your question. We'd love to have you at Wild Heart Boot Camp. Again, it starts 1 week from today in exactly 13 minutes down at Lake Aquabi in Indianola. And I hope you choose to join us. It'll be life-changing. It'll be life-changing for you. We're live here on The Truth. Thanks for listening.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:50, 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, at 1-888-ASK-HANK. Questions, he's got answers. They're not always right, but he's very rarely wrong. Now, how can I say that? Well, what it means is there's lots of interpretations, lots of ways to look at different things, and Hank knows them all. So I hope you enjoy the show. It's worldwide, only here on 99.3 in Iowa. All right, Wild at Heart Boot Camp coming up, session 2. Just run through all the sessions real quick.
All right, so you've got a masculine heart. Bam. What's the design of a man's heart? Then we roll into the epic story. How do we get swept up into this, right? and understanding our role in the framework and that type of thing. And then the pose. We're going to go into the pose. Uncomfortable spot for many men, but there's freedom outside of the pose. A man that is authentic and true to who he is, that's a man that people want to be around, right? So the pose is there to protect sin and brokenness, and the wounding creates the pose, and we put this false self out there. You know, the MO of I'm this guy at church, I'm this guy at work, I'm this guy at home, and I'm this guy with my guys over at poker night, where you get to just learn who you truly are, you know, deep at the core, and release, heal, restore those wounds. Then that way the false self doesn't have to be there. Then we learn how to receive love and validation from the Father, which is a beautiful journey. And some of these processes, they're about an hour and a half. You know, we go through the talk, teaching, but then we spend about 45 minutes in a vow of silence, time of God, with 2 or 3 questions. And it's amazing when you get about to the 10, 15-minute mark, and, you know, you just hear the crickets chirping and the birds flying, and you're kind of like squirrely in your own brain going, wow, I got another 40 minutes of this, right? Or whatever. And that's when God starts to download.
Yeah.
And the restoration, the healing, I mean, the tears at times for many, many men. And sometimes hearing the voice of God for the first time. And we take that question, Father, what do you think of me? And that's a deep, deep journey. Then we learn the battle to fight. Okay, we learn how to be a warrior, more in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, I was going to say in the spiritual realm.
Yeah. You know, I can play its role in the normal realm too. But we learn how to be a warrior, how to stand up in courage and fight for what's good and true. And we learn how Jesus did that multiple times through Scripture, and then we get to find our place in the story. You know, our identity, what's our purpose, what's our place, and we get to walk with Jesus in that. And then learning to be a lover, how to rescue the beauty, and then how to receive God as Father. Sonship is a module that we go through. There's so much healing and restoration there. It's good.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. I feel so blessed this year because I've kept it so quiet, and I got so many men that I care about within my circle of influence that I have finally said something to. I mean, I said something to you multiple times, but you were one of the 2 or 3 that I talked to about it. But now it's a lot of men.
Good.
And I'm just so excited for that restoration. And, you know, the power, the strength given back. They get to take their heart back as a man. Sometimes for the first time in their life. You know, they're reclaiming.
Yeah, I was amazed when I heard John Eldredge say, never give your heart to a woman.
Yes.
What? No, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to turn it all over to her. No, you only give your heart to Jesus. And then he teaches you how to love the beauty.
Yeah, we are to see, here's the thing with it. We bleed first, okay? In this thing with the beauty,
we bleed first.
We bleed first.
I don't know what that means.
If we go to her for strength, it means we're taking our question to her.
Oh.
Okay? Oh. We are not to go to her for strength. We are to go to her to offer our strength, to love her well. Okay? Not to be validated, because then we don't have any strength. If we go to her for strength, we don't have any strength to get. We got to get the strength from the Father. Get the validation and the healing and the restoration from the Father. And then we go to love her well.
Frank.
Well, obviously, Samson is the classic case of someone who done it wrong.
Sure, yeah, he's a prime example.
He was one of the strongest physical men, strongest physical specimens on the face of the earth, but he was one of the weakest individuals, in essence, spiritually and emotionally, that he had to divulge his secret of his strength to this woman that was not the least bit trustworthy. He shouldn't have been entertaining her anyway, because she was from the heathen tribes that Christ said stay away from. They're only going to lead you into licentiousness and idolatry and things that I want to set you apart from. But that was the case with a lot of Jewish men. They couldn't leave the forbidden women alone. And I don't want to make it out that any woman is forbidden, but a guy has to know where his strength lies, what you're saying, as opposed to believing that his strength lies in the woman.
The the beauty is just it seems to be the one we get tangled up in the most. But it doesn't matter if we take our question to the beauty, if we take, do I have what it takes, and we go to her for validation, or we go to work for validation, or we go to our hobbies for validation. I mean, this is Western culture now has become this excessive hobbyism where men are getting their identity from their cars, from their golf swing, from their own sports team. Okay, how sick is this? That my identity, my day is made or broken based upon another team. Okay, someone else. A game that someone else is playing, and all I'm doing is watching it on the tube or sitting in the grandstands. And I don't mean to challenge men in this sort of way, but I do. If our day is broken by that, where are we taking our heart?
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. Bringing up games. You're going to be on a Saturday. You're going to have a lot of guys who probably Iowa State fans, maybe a Nebraska guy over here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're and I'm not saying that they're living or dying over potentially that game, but in other words, there are men like that out there that their identity is wrapped up in their team.
Yeah, their team, the beauty, their work.
So you got to kind of instruct those guys to look for your strength and look for your identity outside of that.
Jesus calls them empty cisterns. Okay? They are empty cisterns. I mean, it was hard for me to digest that my wife was a bottomless well that could not be filled by me.
Wow.
That is a hard thing. I love her. She's adorable. But Christ can fill that well.
Yeah.
And once I've reverted that around and received Christ and filled my well, filled my bucket, so to speak, filled in all those holes that were left from the wounds and the shrapnel, I understood it then.
Well, what I think we'll probably do is we'll come on the radio. I don't know whether we'll do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that week.
Yeah.
But we should come back while it's still fresh and share it with guys.
Heck yeah.
Okay, that's the show for the day. Hank is up next. If you got a question, 1-888-ASK-HANK. Man, I got to tell you, the Bible makes it clear that God's going to forgive us the way we forgive others. So I don't want you standing before the man in heaven and going, what do you mean you can't forgive me for that? And they say, and God says, remember how you treated that person there? Yeah, but they deserved it. Well, so do you, God says. So today, go home and forgive, because it's as you forgive that you shall be forgiven by Papa. See you at church.